Hello my scrappy friends, big welcome to my YouTube channel again today. It's Melinda Sweetman here with you with another share for cut to you. And this is also part of my Creating with a Collection kit episode 2. And I have some fun new tips for you, so make sure you hang around for those. Before I get to those though, I will talk to you about my layout. I'm working on a piece of textured white cardstock here. This is about a ½ inch smaller than 12 by 12, so it's about 11.5 inch square. I've already got a border cut, which was from my first video with some tips. I'll make sure I link that up in the top corner. And here is where I bring in another new tip. So when you're working with a collection kit, use whatever stash items you have. In my case, I have used ink pads, and create a color swatch using said supplies. So this could be color pencils or Copic markers or Crayola pencils or Crayola markers or whatever it is you have to hand. It may be regular a box of Crayola crayons, and see if you can find some coordinating colors and do like a little swatch up using the colors in the collection kit, so that you can add items or pieces or add to the kit without actually adding to the kit with actual things. I hope that makes sense. So I used here Soft Succulent ink by Stampin' Up! And a blending brush, and this stencil. It is a 12 by 12 stencil by Heidi Swap. I've had it in my stash for many years and I love it. I left this little bit in for you. It is me cleaning my stencils. This is how I clean pretty much all of my stencils if I'm not using paste. I have got some rubbing alcohol in that little spray bottle and a couple of cleaning cloths here, and I'm just going to spray it down and flip it over and clean it off, and it is ready to rock and roll for the next time I want to use it. While I was cleaning that, I popped my background aside to dry, but it's a fairly thin layer of ink that I've put down, and you can see I've just blended from the darkest in the center out to the lightest and let that fade out. I've used the matching re-inker and added a couple of drops onto my little craft mat, and I'm adding splatters. So you could see that I have already backed my cut file. And that was using one of the tips from my other video, which was to find your favorite patterns and make sure you get them used in a way that you're happy with. In which case I'm using it for a border for this page as well, which is here. And I've also used it to back this cut file. With my background drying off to the side, it's not very wet. You just saw me use paper towel to roll off most of the wetness. I'm just going to stick my two pieces together to create my background. I did muck around with it for a bit. I couldn't quite get it right. And I'm playing with my placement here. So the last video that I shared in this series was another layout, another photo from this same trip that I did. This is with a couple of other people. This was when I first arrived into Queensland. And then when we were leaving Queensland to drive to New South Wales for the retreat I was going to. You can see I've jumped forward a little bit there. I've added some gold stitching to all of my rays, and then I've also added some gold splatters. This is a really soft gold. The splatters are from the metallic watercolor paints I got from Kmart a couple of years ago, I think it was now. But they match the gold thread that I've used beautifully. I have popped my photos up onto some foam. I've added a layer of tissue paper and a layer of that beautiful wood grain pattern paper behind those photos. I've just mounted them as one and stuck that to my background. Sorry for my head in the way. On the 12 by 12 sticker sheet, there was this one big floral piece that I knew I wanted to use on this layout. So I've pulled that out. There's also a smaller floral piece that I wanted to use on this layout, so I've pulled that out as well. And you can see up in the top right hand side there's some little buttons. They were also on the 12 by 12 sticker sheet. I have gone ahead, poked holes in them and added gold stitching to those as well, knowing I wanted to use them on this layout. So I'm just working out placement here. This one did take me a little while because I wanted to keep adding more, but I didn't need to keep adding more, but I kept trying to add more. So my layout doesn't change much from here, but I have left in most of my process for you. So I'm just playing with these buttons and playing with the placement. So while I am moving the things around, like I said, they end up in almost exactly the same place where I had them to start with. My next tip is, so obviously I've already gone and said, use the mixed media-ish kind of ink pads and things that you have at home to add to your kit to build it out, you know. But along the same kinds of lines, add in mixed media elements. Now, whether it's any of the things I listed before, maybe it is metal charms, maybe it is resin pieces or wood veneer or fabric or ribbon or buttons. There is anything at all you can think of to add to a scrapbook layout that is not paper is, in my opinion, mixed media. To me, I've always taken the term quite literally. Anything that is more than one type of media is mixed media. So whether that is stitching and paper, or stamping and paper, or a little bit of distress oxide using a blending brush on the background and paper, you know, to me, that's how I view mixed media. So your imagination and your whatever you're comfortable playing with is your limit, as far as I'm concerned. So another way of building out your stash, building out your collection kit, is to add mixed media elements in whichever way, shape or form that suits you. Also add in like paper punches. So you will see in this layout that I use a label punch. It is a good way of incorporating patterns, but also a good way of incorporating small pieces of patterns, so that maybe you're not being so overwhelmed by, you know, a whole sheet of dark brown wood grain paper, for example. So you can see here's my label punch here. I knew I wanted to add my journaling, but I knew I didn't want to add it straight to my background. I didn't want to add in black. I knew I didn't want to add in grey. I don't have a brown pen that I really like using very much, and the colours in this particular collection kit, especially on the page that I've created today, I felt lent themselves more to the warmer brown neutrals rather than a grey or a black. So I'm using, I wanted to add something that I could use a white pen on. So I'm just playing here. I didn't love the way the dark brown was up against the dark black and white of the photo. So I have punched a couple more labels with the green, and I really like the way that looks. And so I'm going to use a pencil here, sketch around that flower, because I am going to tuck that label in there. I've glued my two labels together, and I'm just going to add my journaling. It's very, very, this is who's in the photo. The first one says, Karen and I shortly after we met at the airport or something. Thank you, Karen, for your hospitality. And then the other one is Amanda, Karen and I on the road, I think. So this is the next morning, and the three of us got up nice and early and made the big trip from Queensland to New South Wales, and I had a great time, and it was lovely to meet new friends, and yeah, I had a great time. I have said that in other videos. So I decided to add in that floral border underneath my title. I really like the way that it looks, and at this point I was like, I want to add more, but I feel like there's enough on here, but I want to add more because I want to add more of this collection because I really like it. But I was like, nope, that's enough. So I went into my stash of enamel dots, and I've pulled out these ones from Stampin' Up. These are clear ones with like flecks of gold in them, and I really like them. They match the gold, my gold thread really well. So I'm going to add 3 lots of 3 and call it done. So I am compiling a list here of the tips that I'm giving you guys for using up a collection pack. At the end, I think what I'm going to do is a flip through of all of the layouts I've created, what I've got left, and a list of what ideas to use up a collection kit. In the meantime, like I said, I will link the first video for you. The collection kit that I'm using is Echo Park. I can't remember. Everything will be linked in the description box below. As always, thank you so much for choosing to spend your scrappy time with me. I'll make sure I link everything for Cut to You in the description box too. If you have any questions, please make sure you drop them below. Otherwise, I shall see you in my next process video. Have a fantastic scrappy day, my friends.